In this video, I'm going to show you a scoliosis exercise that's going to help you to restore balance in your core on the left and the right sides so it can help you have a more balanced posture. And before we get to this exercise, I definitely want to educate you on a little bit about the causes of scoliosis. So, scoliosis is not caused by a lack of doing this stretch or this exercise or any exercise. It's most likely a cause of the way that you carry your body in your life. So, the way you sit, the way you stand, maybe even the way that you lay down on the couch or sleep. So, are you crossing your leg always from one side to the other? Are you always standing shifted onto one leg? And are these events happening often enough, repetitively over a long enough period of time, maybe 5 or 10 years or 20 years? And it's on such a subtle level that you don't even realize it, but it's shaping your posture. Because when we shift our weight onto one side, guess what has to happen is our head has to correct to be centered. And so that's a curvature of the spine, right? And so if we get back to center, it allows our head to be centered, and I can shift to the other side and I need to correct. And this happens not just with your head and neck, but also in your lumbar spine, your thoracic spine, and especially in your pelvis. So your pelvis is one of the main pieces of anatomy that's going to correct, re-level itself, like to recalibrate your posture and your balance so that your center of gravity is still in the center, so that you don't fall over or lose your balance. And so the body's safety is number one, and keeping your balance is going to be the top priority. So in order to address the problem, you need to actually be looking at the way that you carry your body in your life. You need to look at the way you sit and be a detective about the way that you're carrying your body. Are you always crossing one leg over the other? Well, if so, that could be a major contributor, and you might want to start thinking about crossing the other leg and doing the opposite, and it's going to feel awkward. It's going to feel uncomfortable for a while, but this is actually a pretty good strategy for undoing the problem and restoring balance. So this is number one. This is the first place where you want to look. And after you've done this, so the way that you sit, the way you stand, the way you carry your purse, the way you carry your body, then you can start to do restorative exercises without wasting your time, because you can go do exercises until the cows come home. But if you're still contributing to the problem in your daily life in the way that you carry your body, it is a waste of time. You're just on the hamster wheel. So be a detective first. Take a look at yourself in the mirror, literally and figuratively, and then we can go into this exercise. So this is going to be a side lengthening exercise, and it's important for me to let you know that not just one exercise is going to solve a problem like scoliosis. We're going to have to hit it from all different angles, but this is one, and it's a very valuable one, and I'm going to get into it right now. So what you see here is a wooden board that is 1 inch tall, and I'm standing on it with one leg, and the other leg is going to be suspended in the air, and I'm holding on to the wall for balance, because right now I'm just focused on my posture. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop my left leg, left heel down to the floor without bending my right knee. So my right knee is going to stay where it's at. It's not going to bend any further, but my left heel is going to drop, and you're going to see my left pelvis actually be the thing that moves down. So left side of the pelvis moves down, and so you can see my pelvis is just tilting to the left, which is lowering my left leg to touch the ground. And so what is happening here? And then I'm going to switch sides, and I'm going to compare to the other side. So what's happening when I'm doing this is, as I drop my heel down, now it's the right side of my body is lengthening. So the side that's dropping down, the pelvis tilting downward on this side, shoulders, the goal with the shoulders is to keep them more or less level so that the lengthening happens here in your side. And so that is an important component, is try to imagine your body lengthening on this side, and that's where the length is coming from. And you can even increase that lengthening by bringing your arm overhead and actually feel a stretch on the side of your body. It's important to compare both sides, and on one side, you might feel the stretch maybe down low, just right above your hip bone or your pelvic bone. But on the other side, you might feel a stretch up high under your armpit and your lat area. So you're going to want to feel where the tightness is, and you're going to want to give your body the signal through your brain, through your imagination, to lengthen in that tight area. So you have the intention, and that's how you do it. It's through intention. So you're going to have the intention of lengthening through the tight area. So now we're switching back to the other side, and I've compared both sides. And so this is a really key, important thing to consider. What you want to do now is you want to reflect. All right, which side felt tighter and where? Which side feels like it needs to be lengthened more? Maybe one side felt a lot of tightness and the other side not very much at all. Maybe no tightness. You didn't even feel a stretch on the other side. So let's imagine that my left side, the one I'm working on now, is the side that was tighter. Now I'm going to go to work. So the initial goal is to compare left and right and figure out which one is tighter. And then you work on the tighter side. And now you can see I've taken my hands off the wall because we need to learn how to apply this to our daily life, right? We're not always holding on to a wall. And so we need to learn to apply this to our balance and postural muscles without hanging onto the wall. And now I've removed the board. So now I have no crutch anymore. And we're getting the closest we can to real life. And now I'm working on that right side again. So I'm leaning into it, I'm lengthening that right side, and I'm having the intention of the tightness going into the stretch, going into the tightness. And so I'm even feeling it with my hands. I am doing what I can with my body awareness to send the stretch and lengthen the side that is shorter. Because at the end of the day, in scoliosis, we're dealing with one side that is shorter and one side that is longer. And yes, there are more complex cases of scoliosis where it's an S curve, and so you have tightness up high on one side, but tightness down low on the other side. And so that's what I was referring to earlier, is you want to feel where the tightness is. It might just be throughout all of one side if you have a C curve, or it might be split into upper section and lower section if you have an S curve, and then you want to work on lengthening that. Start with a board and don't go too thick with a board, because if you haven't learned it already, our bodies don't like when we overdo things. So 1 inch is enough. If you can graduate to a thicker piece of board or something to stand on, maybe 2 inches down the road, but start thin and just work on lengthening that side with the board. And then you do need to apply that to standing on flat ground, because that's how we're operating in the real world. And so, like I said, there are other exercises that you'll want to do to address this side-to-side imbalance in your core musculature from all angles. And so we're going to talk about that in a future video. So if you haven't subscribed already, make sure you do. I've noticed that most of our viewers don't actually subscribe. So if you do subscribe, you'll get notified about the next video that's coming out, which is going to cover about, I think, around 10 different exercises for scoliosis. So that's coming soon. And until then, we appreciate you here at Core Balance Training for leaning into your health. And it makes us want to lean back and give you more education and more of what's going to help you to climb out of the spiral of back pain. So until next time, get down on the floor and connect to your core.